Welcome everyone to this session. So we are now on day 7, and then in this day 7 we have two questions, question 1 and question 2. And welcome back to our use cases. I know you guys have been looking forward to this, and I'm happy that we are back here. So let's quickly go through the use case. So for today we're going to do the two questions in this particular video. Okay, so let's look at this use case here. So we have marketing is preparing a personalized campaign for contact named Kim. They require complete address details to ensure postal mail accuracy and compliance. Your task is to assemble a contact file with full address fields for the Kim segment. So you've this year is the expected output, right? And so what we are basically saying here is that we want all the contact that has Kim in their names or in their email address, and then we want to make sure that they have an address. If they don't have a full address, we don't need to supply that information to the stakeholder. Okay, and the second question here, it says that to avoid missing potential responders, marketing team wants the Kim code even when address details are incomplete, so they can trigger email only or data enrichment workflows. Now, the task here is to provide an exclusive contact list and flag missing address records for enrichment. So essentially, yeah, we want all the contact, even when they don't have address. Probably we can use email addresses to reach out to those contacts. Okay. Now that we understand the question, so there's few things we need to just quickly itemize. Following our template, what tables are we talking about? We need the contact information, which is going to be in the person table. We also need the address information, which is going to be in the address table. And also we need to join both of them, right? And also we are interested in contact that has Kim in their names. Okay, so that will be our filter. And then because the question 1 says they must have address, right? So therefore that's going to be an inner join. And this is saying that this question 2 is saying that even if they don't have address, we still want their contact. So we're going to explore left join. So let's quickly go to our lab and see how that really works. Okay, so first of all, let's take a look at the tables we are interested in. So we already identified them. So it's going to be a person table, and then let's run that, and we can see this is a person table. Beautiful, beautiful. All right, so now we can alias this as P, and then let's first start with the filters. It says filter says that it must contain a Kim, so we can use first name, last name, but we would use email address in this case, because essentially if they have Kim, probably they should have it in their email address. Feel free to either use first name as well. Okay, but we're gonna use email address here. Okay, and we're gonna use like, and which help us with the string pattern. And then we're just gonna put the word card there and then say Kim, and then we also put another word card there, basically saying all characters before Kim, all characters after Kim. And yeah, because we know it's case sensitive, we're just going to make sure we'll cover all possibilities. So even though I don't believe we have capital letters in the email address, but just to be sure to take care of various scenarios that could come up, and also in your own project, this is one way to make sure that you don't miss any record in this type of work. All right, when you run that, now we can see all that we see here is Kim. You can see they all have Kim in their name, so that means our filter is working as expected. All right, all right, all right. Now the next thing we want to do is that do all of this contact as an address. So let's check that. Now we're gonna have to do inner join. Actually, before we do that, for those that have not seen the address table, let's pause this. Let's have a look at our address table. So we just copy everything from here, We just want to have a look. Okay, so let's take a look at our address table. Is right here. Let's run that. Beautiful. So we see our address table. We can see different addresses: address line 1, line 2, city, province ID, postal code, and so on. Okay, now we can see that the address ID is the primary key, and we know what to do with that from all of the concept we've talked about in our previous session. In case you miss out on those sessions, feel free to go back and take advantage of that. Then you can quickly understand what we are dealing with here. So in this case, it's gonna be one to many, right? So we're gonna do inner join, and here we're just gonna reference person address. All right, and we call this ADDR, and then we specify the on p dot address ID. Let's pull in the address ID equals to addr dot the same address ID, and let's run that. Beautiful. Now we have 26 record, and we have access to both all the attribute in both person table and address table. Now, because again we were provided specific columns that stakeholders are interested in, so we're just going to call out those specific column. All right, so let's quickly go over that, and then we're just going to alias or put the name of the table in front, so that we can, in case those column exist in two tables, the system can know exactly which column we are calling in this case. So we're gonna put in the person ID here, and then also we're gonna put in the title. The title doesn't exist in the import table, so that's fine. And then first name as well, and then also we're gonna do the middle name and last name. Just feel free to go through the sample. You'll see the list of attributes there. All right, and also we'll just also email address as well. We'll pull in the email address, and in our address table, we're gonna pull in the so let's do addl dot, and then we're gonna pull in the address ID. All right, and also in our person table, we also then going to pull in the, actually we don't need to put the name of the table itself, so we just pull in the address type ID as well, and then we can then start adding the address attribute. Okay, so we jump in the address line 1, address line 2, and city for sure, province ID, and postal code. Okay, province ID and postal code. All right, so those are all the attributes we need here. Okay, and let's run that. Beautiful. So let's order this by 1, so that we can match the sample data that we were provided with. Okay, so when you run this, beautiful, now you have, if you look here now, okay, so we have all of this information right here. Okay, so let's take a look at our sample here. We can see 38, 91, 124, 72, 29, and then when we go back to our lab, we can see 7229. That works really well. So this answered the first question, and we're just going to copy the same thing, the same query, and then we're going to go to question 2. Okay, and the only difference here, keep in mind that for the first question we only have 26 records, right? And then and we always have address for all of these records, right? Because we use the inner join. Now in this case, they want all the contact even when they don't have address. Okay, so therefore we're going to use a left join, and left outer join. I always like to make it explicit, and then we're gonna run this as well. Okay, and you can see now we have 36 records, so that means that some of them, you can see, some, all of these have address, and then some of these don't have address. And that is the second question that the marketing team really want us to address. Right now, guys, I see you should be able to begin to see the clear difference between the inner join and the outer join, left outer join. I hope this has been helpful to you. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next session.